Take 176. I don't know why I keep doing this. God. My name is Nathan Hitchcock. This is my first attempt in quite a while to make a YouTube video, and I just wanted to run over a couple of things. So I started streaming last week. I've done about 3 of the streams so far. It's been a lot of fun, and I think it would be helpful to kind of catalog the journey as I'm figuring out this application again. I used to stream a little bit about 4 years ago, just directly out of my Xbox. I plugged in a capture card and I went to town. I think I had a Connect back then, but it wasn't really successful. I kind of got out of it, and I put it on ice for years. So now that lockdown and quarantine is in full effect, I've been gaming a lot lately. Just every day out of work, I just go back to my roots and back to what I used to do as a kid, which is just meet up with my friends and play video games. And then recently I decided to blast that across the internet for all to share. I kind of want to bring that community feel back to my experience, and really just kind of have a cool hang spot where people could just hang out and enjoy their time. So I kicked off my channel. I've done 3 broadcasts so far, and I learned a lot in this last week or so. So I want to put together a quick video to just do some of the highlights. I might go through some technical stuff as well, but I mean, you can find that in a lot of different places. So I don't know if I want to just rehash that, or if I just want to catalog like what I'm doing and how I'm like engaging and finding this platform. One thing I learned really quickly is you can, on YouTube, on Facebook, on all these other social media platforms, it's very easy to present a very curated and tailored like part of your life. You can splice it up. I mean, on this video alone, I think I recorded the intro 10 different times. I mean, some of those were quality checks, just to be clear. I wanted to see like what settings I should use, and if 4K 30 would matter over 1080 60 and all that mess. But I've done takes, and part of that is why I got into videography. I like editing, I like splicing, I like getting into the weeds of things, but also I'm doing this series and I'm putting this out there to get over the fear of creation. So I kind of just wanted to like dump in there. But my number one point is like on the platform, on Twitch, you have to be yourself. That's number one thing I've learned. Okay, this is a tip I've noticed, and I've heard countless people say it, and all these tips countless people have already said. So I'm not really saying anything new. I'm just detailing out what I'm noticing from my perspective. And in the first week, what I realized was, your chat is gold. So everybody that comes in and wants to hang out and wants to chill in your stream, in your channel, they could be doing anything else. We live in a world where there's unlimited content. There are more YouTube videos, more clips, more movies. Like, the fact that somebody is taking the time out of their day and they could be doing anything, they're choosing to spend their time with you, really should not be discounted ever. I've noticed a lot of early streamers and a lot of people just not engage with their chat, and they just play the game, and chat will ask them a question, and they acknowledge that they exist and they acknowledge that they're there, but there's not really a back and forth there. And I've been a fan of Twitch, and I've had a few, I follow a few people, and when somebody acknowledges that I'm in chat and I'm, replying to what they're saying, or they give me a shout out or whatever, it just feels really good, and it makes me want to stick around and be a part of that community. So I took that experience from being on the viewer side into the stream, and I really, like, every time somebody chats something to me, I do try to like take a moment and acknowledge that they're there and acknowledge that they exist. I have no idea how to scale that. And I have a feeling that if I do, if more and more people show up it is going to be harder to maintain that scalability. But I like the fact that I'm trying. So I have no idea of what's going to happen or how I could scale that, but I'm interested in thinking about that problem and figuring it out. I should just keep this running because I'm going to have to cut every single time I go and click. Yeah. And kind of the final thing I wanted to talk about was the tech. And I'm an engineer. I love to get bogged down in details and tech and all that stuff. But one of the things that I wanted to point out and at least say in this first video is the fact, maybe it's not my first video, maybe I split these up, but the fact that your tech triangle really does hold true when it comes to streaming or really any video production, which is you want things, but some things are more important. A lot of people think like the best camera is the most important thing, and I'm not going to discount that. I love cameras. I have my mirrorless here. I have my sports camera back there. Like I love cameras, equipment. I've spent far too much money on it, but that's really not the best thing in the world. I can take a $10,000 camera and make it look like shit because it's not well lit or the audio's off. So when it comes to video production, especially for the internet, things to consider are audio, lighting, video, but you really want to make sure your audio's on key because people will click off of a video if the audio's not there. They just will. Like the ability to put up with a subpar video is interesting, considering if the audio is not good or it just doesn't appeal to the user, they'll just immediately abandon it. So it's definitely audio is more important than video, and then lighting I would say is even more important than video because you can take a really expensive camera and if you don't light it properly, if it's not in the correct room, not positioned correctly in the room, you can take a really nice, potentially cool looking video and just make it look like trash. So I would say, think of the tech associated with your camera last, but think of, the audio, where you're positioning, where your light source is coming from, and then the camera. Like think of that, like kind of in that format. I actually had, when I first moved into this house, I had this desk positioned completely different. It was 90 degrees from where it sits now. And the reason why I had it over here was I thought of convenience. The Ethernet drop is right here. I said, okay, I could just slide the desk in. It's not going to be the issue that, the window is in the background somewhere off to the side and behind me a little bit. That doesn't really make a difference because my internet is here and my Cat 6 is here and it's going to be great. But when I started joining my company's WebEx conferences, and not WebEx, I don't know, we Zoom something. When I started joining my company's conferences, I quickly realized like I had made a mistake, but I had already hooked up everything, so I needed to wait until I was off for the weekend, and so I took one of the nights off to completely reposition my desk to where now the sun is coming in. I'm being naturally lit. Even for this video, I didn't even turn on this light. I'm just being illuminated from the open window, and it just feels so much better. Like being able to join in, being properly lit. You don't really realize how much looking at your own image in poor quality lighting does. I think everything, most of the things I do now is for like my mental health. So the fact that I was staring at myself in a darkly lit room, in kind of like poor lighting was having an effect on my mental health, and I didn't really notice that until recently when I moved everything into proper light. I can now see my face clearly in a video. It feels way better. So that's really the point I wanted to make was, make sure your lighting is good. Make sure your audio is good. Well, it's audio first, lighting second, actual tech of camera very last. That's kind of the point I wanted to bring home. I think that point's made. I think I drilled that horse out pretty well. Nothing I really have said here is really that profound or enlightening. It's all pretty rudimentary, pretty basic, but it's easy to get caught up into all these other things. So, the overlays, the alert boxes, the sounds, the triggers, the stuff that it does improve the experience. And I on my second stream, third stream maybe, I switched out all of that. I switched out my overlays, my sounds, everything. Because I wanted a cool 80s retro vibe, so I wanted to switch that out and play around with it. But all of that, I would say, is secondary to really connecting and engaging and playing around with the platform. In order to see what it's all about, you have to get into the weeds and into the trenches with the other players. So that's it. Those are my tips. I hope it was helpful. If I'm gonna be doing these, I basically just want to start creating more. So I want to set a complete consistent schedule. I want to do it maybe weekly, maybe more than that. I'm not sure. I'm going to try to get consistent with YouTube, because we all know that algorithm helps out to people that are more consistent. And I don't know. I hope you join me for the journey. If you ever want to dump into my Twitch, my handle's Aging Nerd on most video game things. So twitch.com/agingnerd. You can kind of pop in, see when I'm live. Right now, I'm currently going live Mondays, Wednesdays, and every other Sunday, I think, is the schedule I'm gonna go with for a little while, and we're just gonna see how that works out. So yeah, I hope you had a good time, and I will see you all later. Is this a real sign out? Does anybody do jazz hands to sign out? Oh man. So I gotta not be fancy. That's the other thing is I am so critical of what I do personally that I would have, okay, let's stop here, right here. And I will tell you what would have just happened. I would have stopped the recording button. It was about, I don't know if you'd noticed that, but I was starting to go over to hit the stop. I would have stopped the recording button, and then I would have filmed that outro 10 more times, and I would have spent the last not 3 hours, but I would have spent probably the last few hours making sure that all of those pieces were perfectly recorded and perfectly, in sync, and then editing everything down. So I'm trying to also relax a little bit and take myself less seriously and be less critical about my work and actually put more stuff out into the world. So I'm going to leave this very awkward outro in the video to just try to dispel all that. So I really do think we can be ultra critical of ourselves, and I think we need to give ourselves a little bit of a break, especially now. So this is my second outro. I really appreciate you joining me, and I hope you have a great week and a great day.